Hi, I'm Jonathan with LazyLizard.net. We specialize in web hosting for WordPress on cPanel servers. And we have highly fine-tuned servers for WordPress specifically. And we have a very secure environment for WordPress sites. And we have all kinds of tools and ways to help you with security to beef up from the normal default installation of WordPress. Today I wanted to show you how to create a database. So that's a big part of setting up your WordPress site. So we're going to look at creating a database. First, you want to log into your cPanel control panel, which will look something like this. All of these categories can be moved around, so these may not be in the same order on your server. What you want to look for databases, that section there, and you're either going to click on Database Wizard or just Databases. They both do the same thing. I'll show you in slightly different ways. So people think, well, this will be easier because it's a wizard. It's the same. It's no easier. To me, this is not as good because you can only see one thing at a time. You get one step at a time. But if you go to MySQL or MySQL databases, it gives you everything on one page. So you can see it all before you start. You're going to know what you're going to need. Okay. So if you have a simple site and you're just going to have a blog, like a WordPress site, for me, it makes sense. I've done this on a lot of sites. I always make the database name the same as the username. So what cPanel does when it comes here and it says create a new database, right here, it starts off here and it gives you the username of the site. So this is knowthenet.net that I'm logged into. That's our demo site for Lazy Lizard to show people things. And it always puts no here because no is the username that we gave to the site. So knowthenet, the username is no. Okay? Keep it simple, make it very easy. So what I'm going to do in this case, because it's a demo site, but let's just say I'm just going to set it up for one blog. That's all I'm going to do. It's asking you here, what do you want the database name to be? So I'm going to make the database name no, because from then on, when you have to type it, it's going to ask you database name in several different places. You're just going to type no _ no. That's it. Okay. Makes it very easy to remember. I mean, you want to call it WP or blog or something or WordPress or whatever. Anyway, you can do that. I just find this is easier. If you do it the same way everywhere. You always know the name and it's never a problem. Okay, so I'm going to call it no, and I'm going to click create database. And then I'm going to click go back, add a database, no. Okay, so all right, so now we have the database here. Modify databases, check database, repair database. We don't have to do any of this because we're just setting it up. That's all. Current database, we don't need to search. Here's the database listed. If you want to change the name, click rename. If you want to delete it, click delete. Okay. So now all databases need a username and a password. Okay. So here's how databases work. You have the database. The database has no username. It has no password. Okay, it will never have a username. It will never have a password. The only way to access databases is to create a user that is connected to that database. The user has a username and a password. Okay, so what I like to do, what I've done for years, it's never been a problem. I make the username the exact same as the database name. So I'm going to make it no. Then the password, cPanel has a pretty decent password generator. The only thing I don't like about it is it doesn't, well, anyway, cPanel is limited to 18 characters. So I'm going to choose 18. Always choose the max, all right? You want to use everything. You want to use both uppercase and lowercase. You want to use both numbers and symbols, okay? You're going to click, I have copied the password, and I don't like that one. Let's try to do another one. Okay, that one looks better. Yeah, well, yeah, because you have to, if you change these options, you have to click generate again to set those options. So I'm going to copy it with my keyboard, Control-C, and then I'm going to say I've copied it and use the password. So now we're using that password. It's very strong. Now we're going to create this user, okay? All right, so I recommend using a password manager. I use LastPass. It is awesome. You can't go wrong with it. If I were making this a real site right now, I would add an entry to LastPass, and I would put this as the database for my WordPress site. And this is the database info that you need, the username and the password, okay? But not now, so I don't need that right now. I'm gonna go back. So now we have two things that are totally separated. We have two separate entities now. We have the database itself, and we have the database user, okay? Sorry, if this is confusing you with this always being filled in, LastPass does that because it thinks it's a password field. It's trying to help me log in, but in this case, I don't need it. So we have two things. We have the database name and the database user. So here is the database name, all right? It's empty. We just created it. And so current databases, and now we have current users down here at the bottom. So we have current user, all right? So we have to associate the user with the database. That's how we connect the user to the database. We are now going to connect the user to the database so they have access to it, they have rights to it, and they can manage it and make changes to it with the password and the user's name, all right? In this case, we only have one of each. We only have one user. We're going to add user to database. We have one user, so you can have several. I could create a new user, a second user here. Be no point in most cases, but sometimes people with different needs and different applications they're running might need to do this. But in this case, we have one user and we have one database, all right? If you had several, you would drop down and you would see a list and you could attach whichever user you wanted to whichever database. In this case, we're going to attach our only user to our only database. We're going to click add, all right? So add brings you to this page. Now this is where people get confused. This is very easy. This is saying what privileges on the database do you want to give to this user? What database privileges do you want to give to this viewer? Should this viewer be allowed to alter and create the database? Should it be allowed to update and show views and use references and lock tables and index? Yes, you want your user to be able to do everything, okay? So all you're going to do is click all privileges. That's it. Make changes and you're done. Now, the only other thing you need to do, go back, and now we see here, current databases, all right? We see here that it was done correctly. We have the database, no underscore no, and privileged users, one privileged user is no underscore no, same name. Now, when you set up a WordPress site or pretty much any other site, they are then going to ask you, give us the database name, give us the name of the database user that has the privileges to control the database, and give us the user's password, okay? So that password that we typed into here, or the cPanel generated that we copied, you're going to write that down in a file. If you do it this way, the way I do, where you use the username and you just repeat that for the database name and the username, then it's going to be very easy. It will say, what is a database name? You'll go no underscore no. It'll say, what is the host? And you're almost always going to type local host as one word, local host. And then it will say, what is the username? You'll type no underscore no. You won't even have to look at your notes because you'll remember this very easily that way. And then it will ask, what is the user's password? And that is the password we just created that we copied. And you are done. And that's how easy it is to set up a database. Then you can go continue with your WordPress installation, and it's all very easy. So hope this helps, and let us know in the comments if you have any questions. All right.